go then with
All right.
Gotham Knights. All right. So before God of War came out, if you don't know, I guess this actually would be a good time to bring up since we're talking Batman. Unfortunately, if you guys didn't hear, the great Kevin Conroy passed away due to an illness. Um, Great sadness. I think all three of us love the
Best
Batman the animated
Batman.
series,
Best
Arkham,
Batman.
the Arkham trilogy. I've got somewhere all behind me. Yeah, incredibly sad to hear. What did you guys? You guys been totally down in the dumps since that happened?
Oh yeah, man, heartbroken. Well, it's because like he's been so persistent as Batman for decades now. I mean, I know he's
Oh
known for
yeah.
animated series, but he's just stayed consistent. He keeps getting brought back, like the Arkham series, or he still gets popped up. I think in certain DC animated films, he does reprises the role. So I don't know. It's hard to hear Batman or think about Batman and not hear his voice. Like I know we've had a lot of on-screen and animated representations of Batman, but his is by far the most iconic to me. Maybe it's because I just grew up with it, but even with that, like that Batman was just like the perfect Batman. Like even though it was
Hmm.
animated, it was everything you wanted Batman to be. And I don't think there's ever been another representation of it that's really hit it on the head like that. And a lot of that was due to his voice acting. So
Hmm.
he will be missed very, very much.
Absolutely. What about you, gamer?
I agree 100%. I grew up with that. So one of my favorite series is the animated series.
And
So I feel sad about that.
it wasn't just the animated series, man. If you look back, he did Batman Beyond. He did
Mm-hmm.
a heck of a
Oh
Justice
whole lot
yeah.
of
Leagues, yeah.
deep
I forgot about
animated.
Batman
He
Beyond.
did Batman and my one of my favorite video game series. He did the Ark, did
Yep.
Bruce Wayne in the Arkham series. Shoot, what else? He pretty much played the Injustice games. He did
Oh, I didn't
Batman
know
in
he
those
was in
ones.
Injustice. That's interesting.
I think I heard that because I saw another realm posted something about Rip
Mm-hmm.
Our Batman or something. But yeah, incredibly sad. Makes me really disappointed because there's a big convention that happens here every year, or it was happening every year. I think it
It's back. You're talking MegaCon,
like
right? Yeah.
yeah.
It's been back for the
Yeah,
past
it's
Uh,
couple of
back.
years.
I was gonna go last year, and I decided not to last minute, and he was gonna be there, and I was gonna pay to get a
You.
picture with him.
Oh, well, you didn't get a picture, but you've seen him because at one of the first MegaCons we went to, he was on a panel. I remember you popping your head in for a
Was
couple
he?
of minutes. I thought
I
you
think
got a
so,
picture.
but I wanted to get a picture, like
Yeah.
standing next to him. But it's incredibly sad. I remember seeing pictures of him recently, and I always thought he looked. I don't know. You never want to like speculate, but it's sad to hear he was dealing with, something in the background, like
Yeah.
a lot of other people have to
He
go
was what
through.
in his 60s, I think. Yeah.
66, yeah.
Which I mean, that's still pretty young, all things considered. So he will be missed. It's a shame. But
Hmm.
hopefully they'll carry on his torch in various ways. So he'll be forever known to me as the Batman. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And getting to see all the posts online with Mark Hamill and everybody kind of pitching in
Yeah.
and Terror Strong, it really was a lot. But all right,
Mhm.
so to Gotham Knights. Um,
Best game of the year, right?
no.
I
Uh,
haven't watched you
uh,
play any of this, by the way. I've been getting your texts about it periodically about how much trouble you've been having, but
Oh
this
boy.
game could have used a Kevin Conroy because there wasn't a heck of a whole lot about this game. Oh, play the B-roll. There was not a heck of a whole lot here that I very much enjoyed. I think the one big thing to take away is something that Skill Up mentioned is the direction they tried to approach this game. They very much tried to go very live servicey with it, and I don't mean live service in terms of like buying things because I didn't really notice any microtransactions or anything. I'm sure that stuff's there, but it felt very like Destiny-ish in a weird way. Like they totally turned Gotham into like this big public area, and they have these side quests which almost act as like either raids or strikes, like in Destiny, which me and Phoenix were very, very acclimated with. But yeah, they did that, and of course you have your main quest, but the main quest is not very good. Honestly, the best thing about this game were the side quests, which I felt like that was the case for Destiny. Oh no, Destiny, like the raids, right, were like the best thing,
hmm.
and those were like kind of side stuff. Well, I don't want to say those were side, but
Well, as the
yeah,
in-game content, is that what you're talking about? But this isn't a live service game, so I mean, does it really have in-game content? Is that what you're getting at here, or?
not necessarily. I think it's just the way they took. I didn't see any stuff like you were talking about. I just think it was just the kind of world that they just kind of had. I thought the biggest problem is that the Gotham itself was boring.
Mm.
Gotham itself was boring. A big problem I also had was the leveling up and just how the game, like the progression system, is not very good in my opinion. They go very heavily into the kind of similar to the way God of War was, but like way more intricately. Like there are aspects to the progression system that I still don't quite understand as to like what was happening. Like you have like modifiers, you have different weapons or different gear, and it went all over the
Mm-hmm.
place. And I think the biggest thing that kind of disappointed me about it is I started playing the game off in the hardest difficulty, and that was a big mistake to do because it's very like progression and level. There's everything. What is the word? Um, when you go into an area and enemies are all the same level.
Oh, it's like level
Or,
gated.
yes, it's very level gated where um like you're one of Batman's proteges, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole story with this game. That's the big draw, is that Batman has died. At the very beginning of the game, Ra's al Ghul kills off Batman. Spoilers, I guess. That's kind of was the draw all the way from the beginning, ever since E3. That was the whole thing with this game. But yeah, you get to play as one of these like great superheroes, but playing it on the hardest difficulty, like if you're not running around the city and doing side quests and doing these public events and all these other things, your characters don't level up. And when you go to these areas, you can encounter like four normal civilians, but you could get your butt handed to you if you haven't been going off and doing side stuff.
Hmm.
And it's really annoying because to me stuff like that kind of takes the whole superhero aspect of it.
So it's kind of like forcing you to branch off and go grind,
Oh,
which
yeah,
for a game
yeah.
like this doesn't really seem like that should fit the gameplay loop.
And the grind is actually pretty fun when it comes to the side quests, which are there's like three main villains that have like their own side quests. Those things were like my favorite missions in the game. There's one with Clayface, there's one with Harley, and there's one with Freeze. Like those like side missions were like some of my favorite aspects of the game. And the Freeze one is actually the one E3 clip. Did you ever get to watch that one where it showed you fighting in this frozen area?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I think I saw part of
yeah,
that clip.
yeah, that's one of the freeze strikes or missions I guess you can do. Now those things were all really fun, and those are like probably the best things to do. But then out in the actual Gotham, it just kind of felt like I don't know, like busy work. Like you do
Hmm.
races, you do like something on screen right here, scanning drones, or here you can kind of see all these numbers. Like
Yeah, like
look
that
at
screen
this.
really looks like Destiny.
It's very Destiny. Like look at this, and
Hmm.
then you got these
All these
modifiers. Like
currencies and whatnot.
yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you what half of this stuff meant.
You know what it probably
Um,
was? I bet, and it's hard to say this, but probably when this game was early in development, it was probably before Avengers had come out and kind of
that's
crashed
what
and
I had
burned.
read. I read that.
And
Yeah.
they probably were thinking, hey, let's turn this into a pseudo live service game, just like Destiny, Avengers, etc. And then Avengers
hmm
crashed, and they're like, oh, maybe let's not do that. But once you've kind of
Like look
gone
at
down that
the.
path,
I was just saying, look at the gear. You have loadout, crafting, mods, styles. There's like so much on
Mhm.
screen. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, no, that's all I'm saying. Like, it looks like just the structure of how the UI is laid out is for some kind of live service, currency driven,
hmm
resource gathering kind of game, which clearly is not what it ended up being. So that's interesting. If that's the case, I don't know if we'll ever kind of, get any confirmation that that's the route it was going, but it looks
Who
like it.
knows? But yeah, that was my biggest problem. Is just like I think if you're gonna play this game and you want, because that was the whole shtick. Again, that my whole biggest problem with all these streams I did is I kept wanting to compare it to Arkham, and I
Mm,
remember you always saying when before the game would come out, remember this isn't an Arkham game, and
right.
I kept having to try and shift my expectations. But uh, I don't know, it fell flat in pretty much every aspect of it. Like there's some sneaking mechanics. I don't think they were very good or interesting. Um, the whole shtick with the Batman games was that remember it was always like get to be the Bat. I remember that was always like the thing with those games. And if you play this game on the hardest difficulty, you are not going to feel like a Bat character because you haven't leveled up or you haven't gone out and done enough side quests. And I felt like if you're going to play this game, you got to play it on an easier difficulty. Play it on either easy or at least medium. Don't play it on hard. I feel like, again, it doesn't make you feel like a superhero. You got to play it on, I don't know. Was there any questions you guys had about it? I mean,
no question. So, do you think like one of the bigger detriments is just that this game was kind of living in the shadow of the Arkham games? Like, if the Arkham games hadn't been a thing, do you think you would have liked this game better?
I don't really. Maybe because your expectations would have been different. I think maybe, but those games dwarf. Yeah, they absolutely dwarf this game, and it's really sad because again, those side quests, those major raids or strikes, whatever you want to compare them to, those are really fun. Like those were the best parts about the game. Like the three main quests, the Harley one, Clayface, and Freeze. Like those are by far the funnest things to do in the game. And like all the acting's really good. All four of your Bat people, they're
It's
all
like if they
really
could have
good.
just like stripped the game down, just like cut some of the bulk, got rid of some of the
Oh
gating
yeah.
stuff, and just like focused in on those good elements, like the little story missions, the character development, and whatnot, it probably would have been more successful. Is that kind of where you're going with that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because again, the acting was really good. I enjoyed the acting. The story's a little predictable. You kind of know where it's gonna go when you hear, "Oh, Batman's dead," but like, it's still pretty fun. I mean, I just felt like you were saying, it felt like they tried to approach the gameplay systems and the mechanics and or how the game operated. They were too broad. Like it felt like they were trying to do too much, and it's like narrow. Just focus in on the city, focus in on the characters, and it's like
It
again, I
it seems like they were going for big scale
mm-hmm.
live service, expandable kind of games. That's probably why it was structured the way it is. But I think since they didn't go all in with that, you're just left with kind of like the shell of a game. This is what it looks like to me. And once again, you can correct me if I'm way off base here, but
No, I agree. And especially feels like it when you're moving through some levels. Like there's some levels when you're moving through, you're like, why is there a loading screen here? Like there's some parts where like you'll enter a room, beat up five guys, and then you'll enter a door and it'll turn to a loading screen. And it's like, dude, like this didn't need to be a loading screen.
right.
Is this here to help with matchmaking or you know what I mean? There's so much like just odd decisions. I mean, I would say if I were to rate it like a 6 or a 7, wasn't bad, wasn't really good. It was okay. I think I said it on stream. It's if we're gonna compare it to the Arkham games, it's by far the worst out of all of those. Like Arkham Origins, I think was more fun than this, but
Yeah, and to be fair, I still just knowing what this game is, it shouldn't be compared to the Arkham games. Like it never was intended to be an Arkham
hmm
game, right? So I think if you go in with that mindset, automatically you're setting this game up to fail. So,
I
um,
agree.
I mean, once again, I haven't played it, so I don't know. I mean, I haven't been overly intrigued to play it, so it's hard for me to even, I think, speak too
This
favorably
is a
to it.
wait.
But
I would wait until you pick this up for $20 or
yeah,
something.
it'll probably end up like how the Avengers. You found that for like what $5 or $6 on sale at Target during Black Friday or something. So
It's really fun to play as like I enjoyed switching because you get to switch between the four Bat people. I enjoyed switching it up. Like I ended up playing mostly with Nightwing, of course, but like I enjoyed switching it up from like one mission do Nightwing, next mission I would go to Red Hood, then I would go to Batgirl or try Tim Drake Robin. Like
that was the other
it
thing I
was
wanted
really
to ask.
fun.
I don't know if you mentioned this. I might have just blacked out. But like the co-op, like it has like two-player co-op, right? But from what I understand, you can't play as like four friends all together as all four characters. Do you know if
I
that's
have no
accurate?
idea. I only had one person jump into my game, and because I was streaming, I couldn't talk to them, so I was just like, "Sorry,
I'm
pal."
almost positive that's what I heard, and I'll tell you that seems like such a missed opportunity, especially if it ever was really trying to be like a live service game. That would be like the core of the gameplay is that you could get together with three other friends. Each of you is one of the Bat family. Like that seems like a huge missed opportunity, even if it's not a live service. Like even if a game's bad, if like you, me, and Metal, and like we got one of our other buddies, and we all just hopped in, and we were all different characters, I think that would have added a lot of enjoyment to the game. So the fact that it sounds like it was limited to just two players, I don't know, that's disappointing.
I also feel like there was a misstep in here that like because the game tried to utilize 4 characters, I don't feel like I ever got to really build an attachment with any 4 of them. Like I feel like this game could have been more for me. It would have been slightly more entertaining if they could have. Um, if you're gonna follow up Batman, doesn't it have to be Nightwing? Shouldn't this have been maybe just a game where you play as Nightwing? I mean, he's the first Robin. I mean, he's the one kind of built up to take the reins.
I don't know if I necessarily feel like it had to have been Nightwing. I mean, I like the idea of this game is giving you an option for basically your play style, right? You can be somebody who's a little more acrobatic like Batgirl, or a little more brawny like, Red Hood. So, I mean, I think that's a good avenue to have pursued. It just sounds like, I don't know, maybe it didn't execute quite in a way that was as favorable. I don't know. I said, haven't played it, so it's hard for me to really...
There's some really cool sections like this, dialogue sections between the characters. Like I really enjoyed. Like, there's one section you play where Nightwing is all disappointed. He's like, "I was too busy in Bloodhaven, and like I couldn't be there for him." Like that could have been a really if they had expounded upon some emotional tugging of Nightwing or something because he's the oldest. He's feels like he couldn't protect him. I just felt like there was no true emotional bond built with any of the characters. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I don't know. Overall, okay, it was fun.
Weren't you saying too, like you initially got this on Steam, didn't you?
Oh, I should bring that up. Yes, I bought it on Steam. Game ran horribly. Like, frame rate was not great. I tried every resolution setting, tried messing with everything I could. Ended up getting a refund, and I went over and bought it on PS5. Game ran great on PS5, so I don't know. I've had the worst luck with PC games. I think PC game, like the last 3 I've gotten day one, they've ran terribly. Like, I don't know what it is about PC day one. It's just...
Well, PC games can be just a crapshoot, because, I mean, every configuration of system's different. So if you're wanting, consistent experience, console's almost always going to be the way to go. I remember, though, even when, I want to say it was Arkham Knight, when that first came out, I think I'd gotten that on PC, and it ran terribly.
Oh, I did it. We both did. It ran terribly.
So, I mean, it's not like, this game is an outlier. Like, sometimes you just have an unoptimized port when it comes out, or maybe it just wasn't, geared towards your configuration. I'm sure there'll be patches and updates, and it will improve and add stability, but that's the risk you take, I think, with PC gaming in general.
Actually, real quick, last thought is I remember, since you brought it up, do you remember the kerfuffle with this game before it came out, the console version?
Oh, what was it?
Before this game came out, they had announced that they were maxing the
frame rate
FPS to like 30 on console, so people were mad. I thought the game looked good. I mean, maybe it was still running at 30 on PS5. But...
I think the argument people were saying with that is they say, okay, we're going to cap it at 30 because our world is just so dense. Like, they gave some kind of graphical excuse that, because we're doing all this other stuff, it's just too hard for us to hit 60. And I think people kind of called foul on that because, and once again, I haven't played it, but just looking at the videos and the gameplay, looking at this Gotham City compared to like Arkham Knight or even Arkham City.
Have you seen the comparison videos?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, this does not look anywhere near as detailed as that game. That's almost 10 years old now. That did run at 60, or at least can run at 60. So it seems like that's more of a optimization issue that they didn't quite hit for whatever reason, which, as I said, I did not have any insight on how they developed this game, so I'm not trying to come down hard on any of them, but that excuse, I think, just fell a little flat for a lot of people, and that's why I think it was such a kerfluffle. People didn't like that rationale for why it was only 30. And to be fair, I mean, I think people are really trying to get away from 30 frames being the standard. Like, that was fine back in, like, the 360 PS3 era, but I think most people have realized that having a higher frame rate closer to 60 improves gameplay a lot. So the fact that they weren't really hitting that or shooting for that was disappointing, but we're seeing a lot of games kind of hit that too. So I don't know. Hopefully that's not a trend and we start seeing more games really shoot for that 60 and stay there.
Okay, enough Gotham Knights. I feel like I went on way too long about that.
Yeah.